6:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 9:30 p.m. East Coast Time. Thank you.
Muted. The recording has started.
How people contact you to schedule an appointment if they need to. And also you can contact Cindy at Magical Wave for technical support. And Maria, what is your email address?
It's my first and last name, Maria Love, MOREAHLOVE @yahoo.com.
Great. Thank you. And you'll get their email, respond, and then schedule a phone appointment with them.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we also have been setting up a volunteer network to help people in certain states. We've had some wonderful people respond in the states of Texas and California and New York. And we'll be in touch with you guys. And any volunteers that would like to assist others, make themselves available. We're going to have a little conference call with you guys sometime here in the very near future. Those who volunteer to help us. And we appreciate that. We want to make this sort of a networking support group so that we can get as much help as you need for your iGuard so that you can have the best experience possible. So if you'd like to be a volunteer, then please do send me an email, scottm6975 @yahoo.com, and tell us which state you're in. So I want to thank, for instance, Joyce has reached out to us, and Kim, and several others, and I'll be in touch with you guys to assist you and direct you and help you for the safest, most secure currency exchange when the public exchange is available. Now, it's definitely not going to happen before the election, and we don't even know if it's going to happen in 2020, but we expect it to be very close. And honestly, I don't think there's very many people in the world that know when it's going to happen, despite all of the chatter out there. Nonetheless, we're happy to help you from the official source. Patriot Group working out of Reno has authorized us to help you and give you directions and guidance and recommendations as to when the public exchange is available. We want to help as many of you as we can. So we'll be doing that when we know, not before. We're not going to speculate. We're not going to give you any kind of misdirection. We want to be the most accurate and the most helpful information we can possibly put together and give you. So we'll talk more about that later in this call tonight. All right. As we said, we have a lot of intel to discuss tonight. Things are really, really happening. It's going to be very intense these last. Now we are only 13 days out, folks. We're less than 2 weeks. And Maria, you know how I feel about this, and I know how you feel. And all we can say together, right, Maria, is thank God this election is almost here.
It's almost over. Yeah, it's almost over.
Right.
Gosh, it'll be so good.
Less than 2 weeks, folks, from today. So 2 weeks from yesterday, Tuesday, November 3rd. So obviously, coming up this Sunday, we'll be talking a lot about the election, and then on our Friday call, we will as well. So, the 2020 election, this presidential election, is going to be the most dramatic and probably the most controversial in American history, due to the fact that many people are going to try and interfere with it, cause problems, create chaos, and I honestly, I don't know really how this is going to go, although I do feel very, extremely confident President Donald Trump is going to be reelected for a second term, and he's going to win in a major landslide, or at least in a very, very strong show. And I'm basing this, as I've been saying, on the rallies, the enthusiasm for the president, and the utter lack of enthusiasm and lack of participation for Joe Biden. I just don't see Joe Biden, and I think this has been done on purpose. Joe Biden has been intentionally put in there because he's such a flawed candidate, and he's going to help destroy and take down the Democratic Party. Now, it is likely on election day and thereafter, when Donald Trump does get reelected, that the liberals, the Democrats, the radical left-wing groups like Antifa, Black Lives Matter, the Communist Party, are very likely going to throw a massive temper tantrum and are going to be out on the streets, and they may even be harassing voters as they go to vote at the polls. Here in the state of Washington, here where Murray and I are at, it's mail-in voting. And I have to tell all of you folks listening tonight from Washington State, this is probably borderline the most corrupt state in the country. And the Patriot group, the military is very worried about this state. And we need your prayers that we can we can turn this state red. It really needs to happen, folks. If Jay Inslee is reelected governor again, it's going to be really bad news. So I honestly think there is a massive support for Donald Trump in the state of Washington, but we need your prayers, we need your focus, we need all of your efforts behind to get Donald Trump and Lauren Culp, who's a Republican candidate for governor, elected. And I don't feel that there's any problem with Donald Trump, of course, although whether he'll carry the state of Washington, I think it's a possibility, and I think there's a likelihood of that happening. Sorry, just lost my voice there for a moment, and anyway, I think, excuse me, we are going to see a very dramatic situation here in Washington State, and probably the whole West Coast, pardon me, including, of course, California and Oregon. So we're just going to hope for the best here with the state of Washington getting through this election. But Lauren Culp is the Democratic candidate running against the Democrat Jay Inslee, and Lauren Culp is the Republican. So that's who we want to vote for coming up on November 3rd here in Washington. So just keep your again, there's a lot of concern about this state we live in here and how it's going to do come November 3rd. So let's all focus on a victory for not only President Trump out of Washington, but for Lauren Culp as governor. It's really important. You just can't imagine. All right, so as far as what we're seeing right now, it's been since Sunday. We talked about a lot of dramatic events that took place last week. Since Sunday, our last conference call, Sunday night, it would have been quite a couple of days since the bombshell revelations last week regarding Joe and Hunter Biden. But let's kind of rehash where we're at, because this situation here is just unprecedented. That you have the Democratic nominee for running for the office of President of the United States, who's the most flawed, weak, compromised candidate in the history of our country. Not only that, he's openly corrupt. He's admitted to corruption. There's massive videos of him committing inappropriate distance with children and with women. So he's obviously a sexual predator. His son now has been exposed as massively corrupt. In fact, his whole family, his brother, perhaps even his sister are involved. And Joe Biden himself has admitted to trying to or extorting the country of Ukraine. This is what he's admitted to. So let's rehash it. Let's go through a couple of big developments that occurred and bring us up to speed here tonight. So back on Wednesday, September 23rd, the Senate Finance and Homeland Security Committee released a devastating report on Hunter Biden, Burisma corruption. Crooked Biden family enriched themselves, and Obama knew. On Thursday, September 24th, GOP, that's Republican Rep from Ohio, Jim Jordan, sent a letter director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, demanding to know if FBI is investigating Hunter Biden's crimes. Senator Rand Paul, the same day, says Homeland Security panel refer report on Biden's to Ukraine to the DOJ for a criminal probe. Wednesday, October 7th, breaking news. Joe Biden is the subject. This is bombshell news. This was absolutely bombshell news. Probably the most bombshell in the history of American elections. Joe Biden is the subject of a federal criminal investigation into his role in Spygate and activities in Ukraine. Wednesday, October 14th. This is the day all hell broke loose. The New York Post, the venerable newspaper, has been around over 100 years, and they put out a story, a news story on the 14th. Smoking gun email reveals how Hunter Biden introduced Ukrainian businessman to PDAB. Hunter Biden emails show leveraging connections with his father to boost Burisma pay. And then Facebook censors leaked emails, the story alleging Joe Biden corruption. Facebook censors the New York Post to help Joe Biden's 2020 campaign. And then Q put out some messages on the 14th, which were very interesting. First of all, he posted some obvious selfies of Hunter Biden in the bathtub, posing in front of a mirror. And these were from his hard drive, his computer. Another photo of him sleeping, QDrop 4851 from October 14th. And then a link to Rudy Giuliani's Twitter. Emails from Hunter Biden's hard drive reveal Joe Biden lied about Burisma, much more to come. And Q added, FBI possession since late 2019. In other words, the FBI possessed Hunter Biden's laptop hard drive since 2019. No FBI interviews Joe and Hunter Biden due to optics regarding attack, political punt. Lesson of the day. If you run for the presidency, all your past crimes just magically disappear. Sometimes it takes transparency to force action. Let's see what happens. In this case, does having early stage dementia help you regarding previous deniability, harmful political, drain the swamp Q? So now Q has proved that by these particular drops, he's given us the proof that the Patriots have got Hunter Biden's laptop computer, just like they got Anthony Weiner's laptop and all of Hillary's emails. As Q has said, we have it all. Then Q posts a graphic. Hunters become the hunted. The hunt is on. And he adds this. This is QDrop 4866 from the October 14th. This all occurred last Wednesday, folks. And Q says, after today, Does this make more sense? Buckle up. Q. In other words, the hunter is Hunter Biden. Let's go to Thursday, October 15th. Tucker Carlson's bombshell. Burisma told Hunter Biden they wanted to, quote, close down any case pursuits against, unquote, its top official in Ukraine. Huge. Twitter shuts down after Tucker Carlson announces he will release new Hunter Biden emails on a show tonight. And then on October the 15th, Q wrote a link to Twitter and John Solomon. Breaking. Burisma official reportedly linked to Joe Biden met with state officials in 2016. Memo show. And then a link to New York Post. Emails reveal Hunter Biden tried to cash in on behalf of family with Chinese firm. Then Q drop 4870, link to Fox News. GOP report claims Hunter Biden paid women linked to prostitution or human trafficking. And then this revelation from Q on October 15th, part of Q drop 4870, worth remembering. And then Q adds, underage women, young girls, sexually exploited. Context for future. Q. Let's go to, Monday, October 16th. Now here's where things started to escalate. So this story, reported by Breitbart News. Exclusive, this is China, Inc. Emails reveal Hunter Biden's associates helped communist-aligned Chinese elites secure White House meeting. And another story from that day. Joe Biden lashes out a reporter for asking about Hunter emails. I have no response. Another smear campaign. Let's go to Saturday, October 17th. Confirmed. President Trump has footage of Hunter Biden raping and torturing little girls set to be released. GOP Senator Ron Johnson sends a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray demanding answers on Hunter Biden's laptop. Senator Johnson presses Christopher Wray on validity of Hunter Biden laptop claim. Johnson said the FBI has refused to confirm or deny details regarding the laptop. Then on Twitter, Jack Dorsey of Twitter says company botched blocking the NYP in a New York Post article on alleged emails on Hunter Biden's laptop. Meanwhile, on October 17th, it's reported that Joe Biden's polling lead slips in the wake of the New York Post report on Hunter Biden. Let's go to Sunday, the 18th. Hunter Biden's computer camera roll turned over to Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani contains 12,000 images with sexually explicit selfies. Breaking news, the Republican National Committee filed a Federal Elections Commission's complaint against big tech oligarchs for censorship of the Hunter Biden email reports. And Twitter still, in fact to this day, refuses to unlock the New York Post account unless Hunter Biden posts are deleted. Let's go to Monday, October 19th. Now, here's another story, folks. It's a little off the path here, but it's connected. This is all connected. You're going to discover this. Ghislaine Maxwell loses her fight to keep her Jeffrey Epstein testimony sealed from the public. Interesting. Tuesday, October 20th. Listen to this story. Former 50 former Intel officials, including James Clapper and John Brennan, signed a letter saying Hunter Biden emails story is Russian disinformation. And then we learn FBI is in possession of Hunter Biden's purported laptop, sources say. In the state of Oregon, a developing story, Hunter Biden's business associate, Devin Cooney, who shared the Biden emails with Peter Schweitzer, has been removed from his prison in Oregon. Was this done for his protection? Is this the Trump administration stepping in? Update. New photo release of Joe Biden posing with Hunter Biden in business clients from Kazakhstan. Breaking news. FBI and the DOJ concur with the Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, that Hunter Biden's laptop and emails are not part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Boom. Rudy Giuliani announces new documents released Wednesday will show financial crimes and personal crimes by the Biden family. Donald Trump says William Barr has to act fast to investigate Joe Biden. Now, so President Trump is going to a rally on Monday, and as he was about to board Air Force One, he absolutely savages a reporter. And listen to what he says. I'm going to play this clip, and I'm hoping that there's... President Trump just carved this guy up into pieces right in front of the whole White House press corps. So, what do we find out? Biden is sinking. Crooked Democrat nominees lead plunges 6.3 points in 1 week. Presidential race now at statistical dead heat. The New York Times on Monday releases another garbage hit piece. This is on the 20th, yes. Garbage hit piece on President Trump in last-ditch effort to cover for creepy and corrupt Biden family. Meanwhile, President Trump, this should worry the Democrats, President Trump is picking up thousands of voters who did not vote in 2016. And also on Wednesday, today's headlines. Survey finds President Trump has far more support from Muslim voters than Joe Biden. That's Wednesday, October 21st. Joe Biden would return to Obama-era immigration policies if elected, a report says, according to Fox News. Meanwhile, Chief of Staff Mark Meadows interviewed by Maria Bartiromo on Fox News. Joe Biden crime family involved in hundreds of millions of dollars in money laundering schemes. And breaking news today, late today, smoking gun email from Hunter's laptop proves the Bidens were paid to shut down the Burisma investigation and make it go away. And that's where Joe Biden said, I said, you're not getting the $1 billion unless you stop investigating my son. Boom. Rudy Giuliani drops a bomb today. Joe Biden broke the law by not notifying officials of Hunter Biden's naked crack smoking and sexual abuse of minors.
Good.
Meanwhile,
they're
going after Rudy on Twitter, and there's a new movie by Borat, a new comedy hit piece. And Rudy Giuliani says it's a complete fabrication, then drops bomb on Biden. We are preparing a much bigger dumps off the laptop from hell. Talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. And on the Gateway Pundit today, discredited intel professionals push lie about Russian interference. A letter published on Monday, October 19th, with the signature of 50 former intelligence officials is a self-inflicted wound of comedy an absurdity wrapped in the specious claims of special expertise. Thank God none of these clowns still hold a position anywhere in the national security bureaucracy. Their inability to grasp basic facts and engage in simple reasoning correctly explains why the Obama team abandoned American military and intelligence officials at Benghazi in September 2012, and why they considered ISIS as a junior varsity team. And then finally today, listen to this story. The Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, said today there, quote, should be, unquote, more Durham probe indictments. The Director of National Intelligence said he provided 1,000 pages of material to the DOJ. Now, this is all getting you ready, folks, for what's about to happen. Let's go to the Q drops for today, and there are a lot of them. Wednesday, October 21st, Q drop 4904. Now, there were a lot of graphics posted and memes today. This is a picture of 3 posters.
Welcome, and thank you for choosing
Guardians
freeconferencecall.com.
of the Pedophiles, Panic in D.C., and FISAgate now playing.
Putting has started.
And Q says
Hello, this is Scott
this.
Malley.
All 3 movies playing simultaneously with a question mark. Do you find it interesting that everything discussed in the past is somehow making news as of late, Q? So in other words, Q has been talking about the Biden, Hunter Biden, remember, the Hunter Ball, the Hunter Red October, the Hunters Become the Hunted. Those are all references to Hunter Biden. Let's go to Q drop 4905. And it's an older Q post from September 29, 2018. And it reads, Twitter has been given the green light to blanket censor all content deemed to threaten their survival. Election. Google, Facebook will follow. Expect communications blackout attempt. The president's Twitter. Rogue employee excuse. Welcome to the police state. They know if they lose, it's over. The time to fight is now. Good versus evil. Humanity is at stake. Drop the memes. Silent majority no more. Be loud. You have a voice. Are you registered? Vote them all out. Prepare. Red October, we stand together, Q. Now that was before the midterms all the way back in 2018. Let's go to Q drop number 4906, another older Q post from July 8, 2019, number 3381. Example, Joe Biden, Vice President of the United States. Follow the family. Corruption in D.C., how to get rich. Are liberals willfully blind or what? And then a link to the Washington Examiner. Biden's brother, $1.5 billion contract in Iraq. A link to the New York Post. And the troubling reason why Joe Biden is so soft on China. Biden's son, a $1.5 billion deal with China. Coincidence? Drain the swamp, Q. Q drop 4907. Another older Q post from October 21st, and this is, from January 28, 2020. You didn't think we highlighted Epstein for no reason, did you? Those who were once protected are no longer. Timing is everything. Hunters become prey. Q. Q drop 4908 from October 21st. The Great Awakening. A graphic of the Great Awakening with the sun rising. And Q adds, listen carefully, this one, folks. Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Only then will people find the will to change. Crimes against children unite all humanity cross party lines. Difficult truths. Q. So in other words, Q is preparing us now. It looks like they're getting ready to drop the evidence of crimes against children. So I want to warn all of you, we now are likely approaching this time. Okay, Q drop 4909. We see another graphic of a building collapsing, being held up with beams, which read NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and CNN, and the building is the Democrat Party. In Q drop 4910 from October 21st. So many people refuse to still admit the evils in the world. They're going to need to see a lot more. That's from an anon. Q responds. Listen to this, folks. Freedom of information, truth equals end. Q. In other words, when you give people the truth, the information regarding the truth, that brings an end to everything. Remember what we said, the Shakespearean quote, awareness is light, ignorance is darkness. Now, coming up this Thursday, October 22nd, that's tomorrow, we have the third 2020 presidential debate. And yet again, the Commission on Presidential Debates is messing with the rules at the last minute. Those are the people that run the debates. Now, as you remember, the first presidential debate about 2.5 weeks ago featured deep state fake news operative Chris Wallace of Fox News, a horrible moderator who harassed President Trump throughout the night. The second 2020 presidential debate was canceled because the debate commission tried to make it virtual because President Trump had tested positive for coronavirus. It was to be moderated by a guy named Steve Scully of C-SPAN. However, Steve Scully outed himself. First of all, he put a picture on his Twitter page of posing with Joe Biden. Gotta love the BP at the Biden Beach Bash 2016. Then he was attempting to direct message Anthony Scaramucci, but instead tweeted it out. And he said, Scaramucci, should I respond to Trump? And then he tried to cover it up, did Steve Scully, and said he got hacked and had to admit he lied about it. Now, the third presidential debate is going to feature moderator Kristen Welker, yet another fake news Democratic operative. She's already, now, the third presidential debate moderator suspends her Twitter account, quote, in order to be especially cautious. So what's going on here? Why does she feel the need to suspend her Twitter account? Because it's all about Democrats and meeting the Obamas at the White House and all of the things she's done to support the Democratic Party. Another fake news operative. Now listen to this. The debate commission changes the rules again. Now they will cut mics for 2-minute responses by President Trump and Joe Biden. The Trump campaign manager fires off a letter to debate commissioner after they changed third debate topics to rescue Joe Biden and ignore President Trump's historic foreign policy. So what they did is this third debate was supposed to be about foreign policy. Remember, President Trump has now been nominated 4 times for a Nobel Peace Prize. And so now they want to pull the rug on foreign policy and not allow it to be discussed during this debate to help Joe Biden. Exclusive, the Commission on Presidential Debates has secret donors providing millions in dark money and the new third board member who pushes socialism around the world. And then just today, rumblings now that the far left debate commission proposes banning all content
on Hunter and Joe Biden's foreign laundering scandals. Well, there you go. This is the brilliance of Donald Trump. He has exposed this debate commission, the Commission on Presidential Debates, is totally corrupt, a swamp organization in the tank for the Democrats. And folks, this is likely the last we're going to see of this corrupt institution, the Commission on Presidential Debates. Now, on Sunday, we played a clip from this video of Gene Decode, Urgent Intel, Hillary Brennan, Biden indictments now, Trump wins. And this was an interview that Gene Decode did just the other day. And we played this clip, and Gene talked about Joe Biden was going to be indicted before the election. I want to just cover this again. Now, again, we were referencing the tweet that Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, had put out on August 31st, where they all three posed in front with President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence. The three of them posed in front of the portrait of James Madison, President James Madison, or James Monroe, excuse me, our fifth president. And James Monroe won the 1816 presidential election over no candidate. There was no candidate from the Federalist Party. So he got nearly all electoral votes and ran unopposed. And was this a hint that President Trump is going to be running unopposed? I want to read this, a Twitter thread sent to me by Chris. It's Helen. It's from a Twitter account, Helen Means Light, and it's got 5 parts here to it. Here's a series of Anon posts, legal analysis by what sounds like an attorney to my attorney ears. Make of it what you will. So on the 8kun message boards, it appears that a legal expert or attorney was commenting about Joe Biden. So let's go through this thread for you one by one. And these are screen captures from the 8kun message board. It's a wrap. Biden has been informed that he will be placed under arrest at the end of the week unless he turns himself in sooner. His legal teams are currently going through the charges and the evidence given to him earlier today before he abruptly called a, quote, lid. The case is airtight. There are no holes in the case, as the Hunter Biden emails are the legal keystone required to answer definitive remaining legal requisites. It is, by the absolutely immense and never-ending work of patriots, a quote-unquote indefensible case. By morning, his legal team will have come to the conclusion that fighting the case is not only futile but lunacy. However, mental illness is not applicable. His medical team have already cleared him, whether it be falsified or not. His results prove he is of sound mind. Joe Biden and his son have no path to take other than to succumb to justice. To put it bluntly, checkmate. Now that was put out on the 20th, or excuse me, on the 19th. So October 19th on Monday. So let's go to the second piece of this thread. Now, the thread repeats that first one again, and let's go to number 3. So we don't need to read it again. Let's go to and then this is another screen capture of an anonymous writer on the 8kun message board. So let me read you this one. And this person on 8kun is responding to someone else on the board and says, "You are not correct. There is a not so subtle difference in what the release of Hunter's laptop means versus a fancy hit story. The contents alone are inhuman savagery. This is a moment in a war in which the opponent is now completely aware of what you have in store for them. For example, massive public release of news of laptop drives in the Trump administration custody. It's a strategy to cripple the unwitting opponent, completely unaware of it, to be frank, how effed they are. In other words, how screwed they are. It's one thing to say you have, and then in parentheses, insert your damning evidence-based item here, and it's a completely other thing to straight up release and publicly prove it. The Biden campaign was aware of the consequences following a release of information of this magnitude. They were also completely faithful in their belief that this data would never see the light of day, as they believed it was hidden so deep in obscurity. To have something like this occur for them, it would be career-ending, life-altering moment, as if a worst conceivable nightmare has come to life. And here we are, watching them react in real time to their nightmare. No, there will be no false flag. No, the DOJ FBI will not ignore. Knowing that it is real has forced their hand. The data is the leverage in so much that failure to act or acting in a malicious way of false flags will result in further data drops, which are indefensible. The public doesn't have to see the brutality. Let me just finish up here. But if they attempt a false flag or molest the justice system in any way, the public will be shown. It's checkmate through and through. Now let's go to thread 4 of this 6-part one. Checkmate has been called. The game is over. Watch Nancy Pelosi. Her next steps will be very interesting to witness. She knows ignorance will not save her. To survive, they will eat themselves. She doesn't come out of this clean either way, knowing. Knowingly is treason. How long has she had her copy of the drive in custody? Did she report it? No, she didn't. Knowingly. Don't forget which country had access to drives and what war means in treason definitions. And let's go to the next number 5 of this thread. The biggest detail has yet to surface regarding the laptop drives. The repair center confirms Hunter was the client. Everyone has only assumed that the 3 devices were Hunter's, that's 3 laptop drives, given that he brought them in for data retrieval. Sticker is the clue. Beau Biden, deceased. Joe has no qualms over sacrificing family. Car accident. What foundation did Beau Biden manage? Why would Hunter Biden own 3 laptops? Unless one or more weren't his. Maybe one was Beau Biden's. And finally, number 6. Ask yourself a very simple question. Given the reason for data recovered, why would Hunter Biden need to recover 3 laptop drives? Is he that bad at spilling water? Or are they not all his computers? Ask yourself another question. Does Beau Biden's sticker on any of them represent anything? Ownership. What was Beau Biden's foundation doing? Foundations in the swamp never truly do what they say they do. Did Hunter Biden set this whole thing up? Why? Car accident. Hunter intentionally released data into the public. A retaliation. So what these anons are speculating is that Hunter Biden may have leaked this information because his brother had been killed, had been taken out by his father, the godfather Joe Biden, for some improprieties managing a foundation. Now, I would say everything I just read you, we have to treat as a rumor. Is Joe Biden about to be arrested? At this point, in my estimation, is Joe Biden about not necessarily arrested, but indicted for treason so he cannot run for president, as explained last Sunday with the clip from Gene Deco. I would say at this point in time, it seems highly unlikely that Joe Biden will be indicted before the election, because the optics would, I think, reflect badly on President Trump. You indict your opponent right before the election. So I think the Trump administration, the Trump team, the military, Q intelligence, they want to run a very clean election and allow President Trump to win fair and square, as he is going to. Now, we also talked about that my sources have said an indictment of Hillary Clinton may be coming out on October 28, 2020, which would be the 3-year anniversary of when Q posted drop number 1, in which he said that Hillary Clinton would be arrested. So nonetheless, it seems very clear now, the Hillary Clinton emails and the Hunter Biden laptop are the 2 threads which unravels the whole corrupt Washington, D.C. swamp. This is what the Patriots are doing. They are exposing them, and it leads all the way through all of them, connects through all of them. So let's go to the Q drops that came out on, let's go back to 2 days ago, the 20th, or yesterday, and Q put out drop number 4903. So this was from October 20th, and it's a link. And the link reads for a video. The video is entitled Set Condition 1 SQ for Strategic Missile Launch. It's a clip from a movie, and it looks like it has Denzel Washington, and the clip just repeats Set Condition 1 SQ for Strategic Missile Launch over and over again. Now, what does this all mean? Well, it looks like Q is implying something very big is about to be fired off, a massive missile of some kind, not literally, but maybe in the terms of information, evidence, more emails, more damning evidence against Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, possibly, or more. So, meanwhile, while all of this is going on, folks, and look at all of that evidence, we went all the way back to September 23rd, and all of this that's coming out, it's just massive against the Democratic presidential candidate running for president in 2020. I mean, it is just the evidence. Joe Biden is up to his eyeballs in trouble right now. So this article appeared today. Not making headlines, market researchers showed President Donald Trump has an 87% chance of winning the election. Now, last night on Sean Hannity, as I was watching it, he had on a pollster from Trafalgar Group's Robert Cahaly. Pollster predicted the 2016 result, says President Trump is on track to win again with the help of, quote, hidden support, the silent majority. So let's play this clip. This is from last night on Sean Hannity with pollster, this pollster that Sean Hannity had brought on. And again, his name is Robert Cahaly of the Trafalgar Group. So let's listen to this clip.
Joining us now is one of the only pollsters in the country that accurately predicted the 2016 election, that Donald Trump would win Michigan, that he would win Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. He is the chief pollster for the Trafalgar Group. His name is Robert Cahaly is with us. Robert, good to see you. All right, I'm looking at your polls. You predicted it would be as close as it was in 2016. You predicted it accurately. I've got you right now, Wisconsin, 1 point lead for Biden. Michigan, 1 point lead for Trump. Florida, Trump up by 2. Pennsylvania, Biden up by 1. Arizona, Trump up by 4. Ohio, Trump up by 4. We've got North Carolina, the president up by 1.5. Minnesota is a dead heat. It's dead even. And the president winning Georgia, which other pollsters do not have. What are you seeing that other pollsters are not seeing?
Thank you, Sean. What we've noticed is that these polls are predominantly missing the hidden Trump vote, what referred to as the shy Trump voter. There is a clear feeling among conservatives and people that are for the president that they're not interested in sharing their opinions so readily on the telephone. We've seen people be beat up, harassed, doxxed, have their houses torn up because they express political opinions that are not in line with the politically correct establishment. And so these people are a lot less hesitant, are more hesitant to not participate in polls. So if you're not compensating for this, if you're not trying to give them a poll that they can participate in with a lower threshold that would make them feel more comfortable that it's anonymous, you're not going to get honest answers.
All right, so there is this reluctance and resistance. There's been hostility. People that wear a MAGA hat, for crying out loud, they're open to attacks, and people are afraid to even put up lawn signs, for example. And we hear example after example. This would tell me that this is a very close race. We're 2 weeks out. We now have unfolding events. We have one more debate on Thursday night. Certainly, this ever-growing scandal might play an impact, or will it not? What are your thoughts? If it could be shown that Joe Biden lied when he said he didn't know about Hunter Biden making millions from Russia and Kazakhstan and Ukraine and China and elsewhere, would that have an impact in your mind on the race?
It certainly could. Right now it's been subjugated mainly to conservative media, and it's creating its own scandal in the way that the online providers and the mainstream media are acting like it didn't exist. It's not happening. So it's kind of two scandals in one. I think people are seeing a level of corruption and just being hidden, and it's not something anybody's really ever experienced before. I think if the president uses it effectively in the debate when a more bipartisan audience is paying attention and put him on the spot, I think Biden might crack kind of like he did in the primaries. And if that happens, well, then the mainstream media is going to have to cover it.
You see that there is this intensity in terms of voting, early voting in a lot of states right now. I don't see a lot of passion for Joe Biden. I see a lot of passion for Donald Trump. And then you've got a lot of Trump haters out there. By the way, you mentioned big tech companies. I put them as part of the group. I put the media as another part of the group. I put everybody in the Democratic establishment and Rhino Republicans in that group. So how do we read all this early voting and the change in voting laws that has been literally happening in the last 100 days?
Well, it is very confusing, and as you can see, we're having, court decisions. I mean, I did an interview with the National Review this weekend, and I was warning about corruption in Pennsylvania, and then you have the court ruling on Monday. These guys have brought this kind of vote stealing to an art in parts of Pennsylvania, and it is a great concern. But right now, what we see is the people that are going to vote on Election Day seem to be predominantly for the president. And we've been doing a lot of digging around with looking at these low propensity voters, and they are clearly in favor of Trump, and these are people that only voted once or twice in the last 20 years. And we see a strong enthusiasm for them to turn out, and they're not being measured.
All right, let me ask you. So I started in radio, I don't want to give my age away because I'm so youthful, in 1987. I'm now in my 25th year here at Fox, Robert. And so Joe Biden is in hiding in his basement half the month of September, almost the entire summer. Now, here we are, 14 days to go. Joe Biden was off Saturday. Joe Biden did one event on Sunday. He's off yesterday, today, tomorrow, and, you know, most of the day on Thursday until the debate. I don't know, you obviously love politics and you're a keen observer of presidential politics. Have you ever seen anything like it? And do you agree with me that some sort of calculation had to be made by the Biden campaign that they're better off keeping him away from campaigning than going out and asking people for votes? I've never seen anything like it in my life. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I got to agree. It doesn't seem like an accident. You know, it wasn't so long ago that Hillary Clinton talked about the 3 a.m. phone call. I'm beginning to wonder whether a noon phone call is a problem here.
Boy, well said. If you have to make a final prediction, and I put you on the spot, which is really mean, but I am a talk show host, it's my job. How do you predict this race goes? And when will we know based on the, well, if your mail-in ballot has a postmark, we'll count it 10 days after in some states?
You know, I've said for a while, I think I see the president winning with a minimum of high 270s and possibly going up significantly higher based on just how big this undercurrent is. And as far as when we know, that's something I'm not going to even try to predict.
Okay. Well, a lot on the line. Did you notice in 538, this is Nate Silver, which the liberal media seems to view as the holy grail, that they're showing a dramatic and significant increase in the number of African Americans and Hispanic Americans supporting the president. Do you see that translating into new votes for the president?
Absolutely. Across the battleground states that we're polling, we see a significant number. We see in the high to mid-teens for Trump among the African-American vote, and we see Biden not getting anywhere near the 80% he needs. We see Hispanics north of 35% and even above 50 in some states like Florida and Arizona.
All right, Robert, thank you. We'll be watching closely 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay, folks, that was last night on Sean Hannity program, and that was pollster Robert Cahaly from the Trafalgar Group, who's been a guest on Sean Hannity's program before. So you just heard him say that he's predicting President Trump will win with 70% of the vote, and I think that's pretty much of a landslide. Now, we'll just have to see what the deep state has in store. I think they've pretty much conceded that Donald Trump is going to win the election. It's just a question of how big will his victory be, and what are they going to do to try to disrupt it. Now, you heard them talking about many Trump supporters are reluctant to openly express that they are going to vote for the president, and that Trump supporters are harassed by these radical lunatics out there. For instance, listen to this. In New Hampshire, Trump supporters received letters threatening to burn down their homes, quote, should Trump not concede the election, unquote. And listen to this. This is the type of letter that, and someone on Twitter said, dare to put up a Trump sign. And this letter reads, let me read you this letter. Dear neighbor, you have been identified by our group as being a Trump supporter. Your address has been added into our database as a target for when we attack should Trump not concede the election. We recommend that you check your home insurance policy and make that it is current and that it has adequate coverage for fire damage. You have been given fair warning. Always remember, that it was you that started this civil war. Be prepared to face the severe consequences of your preemptive actions against democracy. So you can see the level of hysteria, of mental illness, of absolute Trump derangement syndrome that is present in an action like this. And I mean, this is extortion. This is just unbelievable. But shocking what's going on against Trump supporters in America. The level of hysteria and just hissy fits that are being thrown is just off the charts. Now, so speaking of all of this, let's go back to Monday, October 19th. And Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, was on the talk shows on Sunday. That was October 18th. And proof that Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is deliberately displayed a Kill Trump symbolism in the background during a Sunday interview. Michigan Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer, in an interview on national TV yesterday, portrayed symbols in the background that can be interpreted as Kill Trump. So she had these two little numbers beside a plant in the background as she's speaking. This witch, this evil, nasty governor of Michigan. And my apologies to the people of Michigan, but you have an evil incarnate as governor. And she has 86 on top of 45. In other words, 86. Take them out. 86 someone. You've heard that expression before. That's like kill the president. 45 being President Donald Trump. 86-45 right there, prominently displayed on her home webcam for all to see. Now you heard the pollster, Robert Cahaly, talking about the state of Pennsylvania. And the Republican National Committee sued the state for voter fraud because they're trying to delay counting the votes. But Chief Justice John Roberts sides with liberal justices, allows Pennsylvania to count non-postmarked ballots 3 days after Election Day. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts joined with the 3 liberal justices on the court to allow Pennsylvania to count non-postmarked ballots 3 days after Election Day. This is an invitation to election fraud. Isn't this amazing? Chief Justice John Roberts again proves where his loyalties lie. They got him over a barrel, the cabal does. Now, President Trump was out and about. Of course, he has done like 9 rallies in the last 10 days. Meanwhile, Joe Biden puts a lid on everything at 10 a.m. So he was in on a rally on Monday, and President Trump said, COVID, COVID, COVID. They're trying to talk everyone out of voting. People aren't buying it, CNN, you dumb bastards. Trump unloads on fake news CNN. He let him have it. I mean, the president is very tough and speaks like a tough guy, but it's just so refreshing to have someone calling out these corruption. Now, meanwhile, during this rally, President Trump, the crowd started to chant for President Trump, chants of Superman, Superman, as President Trump was discussing beating coronavirus. The crowd at Monday's Trump rally in Arizona broke into a chant of Superman after President Trump described beating the coronavirus. The president was discussing U.S. advancements with coronavirus therapeutics and described feeling like Superman following his treatment. I woke up and I felt good. Said, get me out of here. Boom, Superman. President Trump said, well, miming, pulling off his shirt, the classic Superman style. Now, another big story was dropped yesterday, and this is all, again, related to everything you're seeing going on in the news. And that was this. The DOJ is to file a landmark antitrust case against Google for abusing its online dominance and stifling viewpoints. Lawmakers hail the Department of Justice antitrust lawsuit against Google as long overdue. Senator Josh Hawley called it the most important antitrust case in a generation. Google, another story here, Google is facing the biggest antitrust case in a generation. What could happen? So let's listen to the Fox News report from these events yesterday.
Also breaking tonight, the Justice Department is picking on someone its own size. The Trump administration's legal arm is suing Google for antitrust violations. The government says Google abuses its dominance in online search and advertising to stifle competition and harm consumers. Google calls the lawsuit deeply flawed. Correspondent Jillian Turner has our story tonight from Washington.
The suit has been over a year in the making, with Attorney General Bill Barr directly involved in planning, according to Justice Department sources. Now DOJ and 11 states are accusing Google of violating antitrust laws. Writing, Google no longer competes only on the merits, but instead uses its monopoly power and billions in monopoly profits to lock up key pathways to search on mobile phones, browsers, and next-generation devices. The end result is no one can feasibly challenge Google's dominance in search and search advertising. Barr adds this is a monumental case for the Department of Justice and, more importantly, for the American consumer. Fox News has learned the litigation is the result of a broad investigation into Google's business practices. Officials quickly lasered in on the company's alleged anti-competitive practices. 90% of all web searches in America are done through Google's search engine. That's because Google allows companies like Apple to include its search engine in its products for free. In return, Google demands its search engine be used exclusively. Senate Finance Chairman Chuck Grassley says there's only one path forward.
Monopolies under our laws have to be questioned, and if they're anti-competitive and violating the antitrust laws, they have to be prosecuted.
DOJ argues Google's financial power leads to less choices, poorer quality, and higher ad prices, which in turn hurt Google's users, advertisers, and millions of small businesses. But some experts caution DOJ's suit could ultimately hurt consumers more than help.
Consumers enjoy Google products. They're often free. They choose them when given a choice. These are products that innovate rapidly.
Google agrees, calling the lawsuit deeply flawed.
If this case is correct, it will make it harder for consumers potentially to access Google, to access a search service that they love and they choose to use.
And tonight, Fox News obtains a memo from CEO Sundar Pichai to employees, telling them to ignore the noise and stay deeply focused on their mission. Tonight, tech insiders are telling us the future of this lawsuit does not hinge on the outcome of the presidential election. It is going forward full steam ahead, regardless of who's in the Oval Office come January 20th. Now, it is true that reining in big tech has become a truly bipartisan issue here in Washington over the last couple of years. So it seems, Brett, Google is finally facing a reckoning. Brett?
Jillian Turner live outside DOJ. Jillian, thanks. Also breaking.
Okay, so that was reported yesterday. That was your Fox News report. Now, folks, this is the Patriots again counterattacking. Everything now is accelerating. Everything is ramping up against the deep state. Google is pure deep state. It was founded by the CIA. It's a CIA company. The same with Facebook. Facebook is a offshoot of a DARPA program, which is entitled LifeLog, to basically create you in virtual cyberspace as an avatar for AI. Twitter, you got to wonder where that came from. All of these social media companies are so corrupt. And so here now is the counterattack beginning. Is this the end of big tech as we know it? Meanwhile, a White Coat Summit 2 held over the weekend in Washington, D.C. Will this be centered by big tech as well? Another Doctors on the Front Lines held another event over the weekend in Washington, D.C. In New York, despite being responsible for thousands of COVID deaths in the state of New York nursing homes, crazy killer Cuomo has released a new book claiming his efforts were mostly successful. So this arrogant governor of New York has penned a book praising himself of how well he did with the coronavirus response when New York State was by far and away had the most reported deaths in the entire world. Now listen to this, folks. President Trump administration has announced, this is another huge story, listen to this. The Trump administration has announced their first government center for countering human trafficking, while reporters ask zero questions. The Department of Homeland Security announced Tuesday the opening of a center for countering human trafficking. Wow. I mean, this has gone virtually attended to, ignored by the government, and allowed to happen for decades. And here are real, tangible results being put into place to counter human trafficking on the southern border. Now, this guy on Fox News wrote an article, says that a Trump surprise victory is in the offing on election night. And I see the same thing, folks. I see a big victory coming. Meanwhile, Democratic vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris traveled to Orlando, Florida on Monday for a drive-in rally as Joe Biden hid in his basement. And a huge crowd of Trump supporters honk their horns, chant 4 more years, while Kamala Harris is trying to do a rally in an Orlando drive-in where a whopping 25 people showed up. Now, President Trump just gave an interview with 60 Minutes, that corrupt cabal news program. President Trump threatens yesterday to release the entire interview with hack reporter Leslie Stahl before she airs hit piece on Sunday. President Trump sat down with Leslie Stahl from 60 Minutes for a much anticipated interview that will air on Sunday, 10 days before the November election. 60 Minutes is notorious for cutting and editing their interviews with conservatives to make them look their worst. Does anyone doubt they would do this with their interview with President Trump? Following the interview, President Trump tweeted out a photo of liberal reporter Leslie Stahl chatting away in the White House after the interview without a mask. So President Trump, this article on Fox News today, President Trump tweets out a picture of 60 Minutes interview amid threats to release clips early. Trump has not yet released any clips of the interview despite threats. And so President Trump put out a tweet today at 11:18 a.m. with a picture of him being interviewed by Leslie Stahl from behind the scenes. And then another picture of him and Leslie Stahl in the White House. And then a video. President Trump says this at 1:06 p.m. yesterday. Leslie Stahl, 60 Minutes, not wearing a mask in the White House after interview with me. Much more to come. So is he going to sabotage 60 Minutes? I would love it, wouldn't you? And release the whole interview before they get a chance to air it. Let's go to the headlines for today, October 21st. So, Wednesday, these are the headlines for just today. Perfect. U.S. Senate will vote to confirm Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, guess what? on Hillary Clinton's birthday. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton tweeted out this, congratulations herself for becoming the first U.S. female president. Happy birthday, she said to herself. And sure enough, they're going to lock down the Supreme Court on October the 26th. That's just a few days away, folks. Thus ensuring any issues with the 2020 election will be handled by a competent Supreme Court. Now, meanwhile, James O'Keefe strikes again of Project Veritas. A head of global competitive analysis for Google admits that platforms are influencing you in a way that you didn't sign up for. This is a Google engineer, head of a global competitive analysis at the Google Cloud. So James O'Keefe has done undercover video of Google and found them admitting to fudging the numbers and compromising search results, you name it. I would love to see Google taken down. I sure hope it happens, or at least broken up. Let's go to the Q drops for today that we haven't covered. Let's go to 4911 from October 21st, and it's a picture inside the temple at Jeffrey Epstein's Epstein Island, and there's a bed inside the temple on the top floor. And under the photo, it says, ABC News told us it was just a gym inside of the temple. Q drop 4912. Now, these Q drops I'm going to read for you here from today are preparing us for what is about to happen. As we said, there is going to be devastating evidence released on the deep state and their crimes against children. Okay? And we're going to see a lot of things come out that's going to be quite disturbing. So as this is revealed to the public, for instance, Q drop 4912, we have a screenshot of the production company for Bill Maher of HBO. It's called Kid Love Productions US. And these are the productions that he's put out, film productions, TV productions, Kid Love Productions. And that's a meme that was put out by Q today. Q drop 4913. And it's a picture of Patton Oswalt, and Patton Oswalt is a Hollywood actor, and he writes here on Twitter, went on a hunt and caught this tasty morsel, booyah. Comet Ping Pong. It's a young boy in the picture with him. Q drop 4914. It's a picture of Gloria Vanderbilt in bed with her two sons, one being Anderson Cooper of CNN. And above her, on the wall, behind her bed, is an art piece. And it's essentially of a human sacrifice temple, much like is found at Bohemian Grove, inside of her bedroom. Amazing. Now listen to this very carefully. Q writes, a deep, dark world is being exposed. The truth won't be for everyone. Have faith in humanity. Q. Let's go to Q drop number 4916. And again, it's another disturbing article about Joe Biden. Joe Biden kissed his granddaughter on lips during Iowa rally. This is from the New York Post. Q responds to this. Inappropriate. Sick to you. Normal to them. Dark secrets. Q. Now, Q has been using that term, dark secrets, a lot lately. And that's a good way to sum up what we're talking about. Let's go to Q drop number 4917. Now, this just came out this afternoon. This is a screen capture of Chanel, or a tweet from Chanel Rion, a One America News Network reporter. Update. Multiple OANN reporters have now viewed the emails, photos, and videos on the Hunter Biden hard drive. We can confirm there appear to be not one, but several images of a minor that justify immediate attention. We have reason to believe the minor is a U.S. citizen. And then Q writes, underage family member. FBI can no longer attempt to shelter and protect the Bidens. Public awareness kills all protections, Q. And this is what we discussed earlier, that once you put this out in the public, you can't put it back. And this is what they're most afraid of. Now, since I put my presentation together, I see Q has posted a lot of new drops. And let's go to some of these, and I'll just cover these briefly. We'll go in more depth on them on Sunday. Let's go to Q drop 4918. And Q posts an older drop from December 17, 2019. The swamp runs deep. Sleepers everywhere. Think coats. Wheels in motion, Q. And then another old Q drop is posted. Q drop 3537 from July 29th, 2019. Anonymous writes, Ray is a sleeper. And Q responds, future marker Q. So let's go to another new Q drop, 4919, came out today, the 21st of October. And it's a link to Twitter. And this tweet from Steve Bannon's War Room. Hey, Frank Lutz, can you confirm this email? Asking for Speaker Ryan. We have a few more that you could confirm. And this is a picture of an email from Frank Lutz to Robert Biden. Because your dad hasn't said a word to me since the moment he was nominated for VP, zero, zip, nothing. That's why fair weather friends get fair weather treatment. And Bo knows I feel this way. That's not how I treat anyone in politics or in life. And by the way, I declared your dad the winner of this debate against Paul Ryan, even though Ryan is an actual current client. This is an email from Frank Lutz, who's a pollster, works for Fox News. Wow, this was released by Steve Bannon today. And Q says, client, political pundit, pollster for sale? Do you see how it works? Enemy of the people. Q drop 4920. Q writes from October 21st. Do you remember when the Me Too, hashtag Me Too, lost all credibility when they refused to support Tara Reade coming forward regarding claims of sexual assault by Joe Biden? Political movement, Q. Q drop 4921. And it's a picture of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. A deep, dark world is being exposed. The truth won't be for everyone. Have faith in humanity. And let's look at Q drop number 4922. Now, this is, again, just posted later today, right before we went on air, probably. And it's a link to Fox News article. Laptop connected to Hunter Biden linked to FBI money laundering probe. Q. And then we have Q drop 4923. And it's a link to Twitter. And it's Virginia Giuffre. This is the gal that was known as Virginia Roberts, who was recruited by Jeffrey Epstein. And she just retweets something from the Rubber Duck 79. Where we go one, we go all. So it looks like Virginia Giuffre follows Q. And Q writes, "Dearest Virginia, we stand with you, now and always. Find peace through prayer. Never give up the good fight. God bless you, Q." Q drop 4924. Listen to this, folks. Booms en route tomorrow. This is not a drill, Q. So that was put out today, folks. Something big is coming tomorrow. Q drop 4925. Again, this older post from Q from May 19, 2020, and it's Christopher Wray with an X through his face. And then Q drop 4926. It's a picture of Gina Haspel, CIA director. And Q writes under the photo, non-CIA background next, Q. Q drop 4927. It's a picture of a guy named David Bowdwich. I don't know, Bowdwich. I'm not sure who this guy is, but I'm sure that we'll find out. And then at Q drop number 4928, it looks like this is a picture of Jerry Falwell taking an oath. I'm not sure if that's Jerry Falwell Jr. or not. Q drop 4929, and it's a link, another link here to the FBI website. And this link says, Jill C. Tyson, Assistant Director, Office of Congressional Affairs. So something is up with this lady. We'll soon find out. And finally, another link to the FBI in this Q drop number 4930 today, October 21st. Alan E. Kohler, Jr., Assistant Director, Counterintelligence Division. Are these more FBI operatives that are on the chopping block? Now, I might be wrong about that picture of in Q drop. I'm just guessing. It kind of looks like Jerry Falwell Jr. in 4928, but it's the photograph is entitled Bishop. Okay, so that's looks like all the Q drops for today. Now let's kind of conclude here. Now, what we were saying, in generally speaking, is I don't foresee it likely that Joe Biden is indicted for treason before the election. I might be wrong, but I'm just looking at the tea leaves, and I'm not sure if this is going to happen or not. We shall see. And we have 13 days till the election. I think something big is coming, as Q just indicated. Lynn, again, look at this Q drop that just came out here just today, late today, number 4924, booms en route tomorrow. It's all in caps. This is not a drill, Q. Okay, something big is coming tomorrow. Now, as far as Hillary Clinton being indicted, I don't see that either. I just think it would reflect badly, and President Trump might come off as a dictator. I think it's better to let him win the election fair and square, and then make arrests after that, and drop all the evidence, everything. Now, let me talk about Julian Assange here in our last few minutes here of intel. Now, it's been reported by CBS News that WikiLeaks' Julian Assange had a very high risk of suicide attempt, expert tells court. Don't believe any of this news about Julian Assange. He's being protected. As Q said, we have the source. That's Julian Assange. He may even already be in the U.S. That may be a double in prison in the U.K. opposing as Julian Assange for the Patriots. I don't think Julian Assange is in a health crisis. I don't think he's near death. I don't think he's contemplating suicide. I think he's too valuable. Now, let me talk about the Federal Reserve. This article just came out this week. published on Bloomberg Business News. Listen to the title of this article. The Fed, the Federal Reserve, is starting to question its own policies. You think after years of control by the cabal, the Illuminati families, the Fed is starting to question its own policies. It's about time. Remember now that the Federal Reserve has been absorbed into the U.S. Treasury. And someone had sent me something regarding H.R. 748, the CARES Act. And this is a something that went through Congress. Sponsor was Joe Courtney, a Democrat. And this was the CARES Act talks about the revision of the U.S. tax policy. Let me just find this here, because it was very interesting that the CARES Act involves a reconstitution of, I'm looking for this right now, and this link that I had, and pardon me while I search for this, but there's something going on in Congress right now. Is this preparing us for some big things that are going to come, I think, after the election? I'll keep looking for this article, but there's something in Congress now floating through it about revision of the IRS code. And I think the IRS is going to be absorbed into the U.S. Treasury as well. Now, I said I would talk about the public exchange here before we wrap things up. Now, again, I would caution you, if you've been hearing that the public exchange is imminent regarding currency exchange. Again, someone had asked me to recommend what currencies. Again, I've been told to tell you guys to purchase Vietnamese dong. And we gave out a lot of different ways. I purchased what I did through Wells Fargo Bank, and I had no problem ordering currency. Sometimes it wasn't in stock, and they just would order it. And I purchased other foreign currency through Wells Fargo. I also purchased Zimbabwe dollars, and I did that through Amazon, because I felt Amazon was far more trustworthy than, say, eBay, because you're covered by a warranty policy, and I don't think they're going to put dealers on there that are fraudulent or corrupt. So you can find Zimbabwe currency on Amazon right now, but it's gone up considerably in price. And I know a lot of people recommended some other sources, which we talked about on our call last week, and recommended that you can buy them online from other dealers. And some of you can refresh my memory about some of the recommendations, although I personally can't recommend them because I never dealt with these companies. I dealt with just purchasing from Amazon and Wells Fargo. Now, the three currencies that are the most ones that are being considered here for evaluation are the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnamese dong, as we said earlier, and the Zimbabwe dollar, which is a discontinued currency, but you want the 2008-2009 series with the three rocks on the front. Now, this currency was printed on bond paper and apparently is going to be considered in humanitarian projects. Other low-price currency, of course. Now, the Iraqi dinar is very hard to find in a bank. You can't find it in a bank. You can't find it through currency dealers. The Iranian rial is very low. The South Korean won was low, as I recall. The Indonesian rupee, also another low currency. Those are others to consider. But the three main ones, again, are the Vietnamese dong, the Iraqi dinar, and the Zimbabwe dollar. Now, again, we have been authorized to receive official instructions of where to go to do your exchange, of how to do it. And we will have that information when and only when it comes directly from the Patriots in Rio, putting this all together. And we are happy to help dispense this information. We're only going to do it when it comes to us officially. We're not going to speculate on anything. We're not going to give you any kind of rumors regarding the exchange, the public exchange. We will only give you the official information that is given to us, because we wanted you to do this safely. We want you to do this securely. We want you to do this properly. I'm talking strictly about the public exchange when it becomes available. And we don't know the time frame yet. It is possible we will not see this public exchange in 2020, the year 2020, and may be delayed until 2021. Or maybe it'll happen in December. We shall see. But certainly with the election out of the way, there's a much bigger likelihood of the public exchange finally happening. And it's just a question of when, not if. So I just wanted to give you that heads up. We will be here to assist you in any way we can, officially, safely, and without a lot of fanfare and rumor and speculation. We want to do this properly. I don't want to get involved in any kind of misinformation to you. I just want to make it sanctioned, official, and proper. I want to do the right thing. That's what this call is all about, doing the right thing and helping you the right way, officially. So we'll be doing that for you when we know it, not until then. So please don't ask me any questions about when I think it'll happen. I can't answer when questions, but I can offer that to you when that it becomes available to us. So that's our goal, is to be able to help you safely go through this exchange process as judiciously and as swiftly and as securely as possible when it comes time for this to happen. Now, I can tell you that as far as the humanitarian projects go, President Trump has been putting a lot of work behind the scenes and has put together a group of billionaires that are going to run these projects, and it's going to be magnificent. And so there's some things that are going on that we can't really talk about, but great things are happening with the president. President Trump is a businessman. He runs our country like a business. And you can bet if he's behind these humanitarian projects and endorsing them, then they're going to be run properly. Now, I've learned the intel I got this week that something really big happened over last weekend that has made it very likely that everything is going to go through more so than ever. And I can't tell you because I don't know. I wasn't told. And I'm not authorized to tell you. But something big really happened. Something big is happening right now. Everything is moving forward in a very swift manner now. And there's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of good news. There's a lot of positive momentum moving forward for our country. And I think this election is going to be the crowning jewel on the crown of this whole process as President Trump is reelected in a very big margin. And I'm looking for this on Tuesday, November 3rd. Certainly, we're going to be talking a lot about the election in our next few calls leading up to November 3rd. And we will be with you as much as we can be, help you. As far as the ballot goes in Washington, I'm voting strictly Republican. If there's not a Republican that is running for office, I leave it blank. I don't vote for anyone. If you have a paper ballot here in the state of Washington, and I'm denying all of those referendums because I'm sure many of them are unconstitutional, or any of them that are need to be repealed. That's what I'm choosing. And if you happen to know, if you live in a area and you know a safe place to drop your ballot off at the election headquarters where they're going to count them in your county or your area, I would recommend you do that if you can. Otherwise, just drop it in the ballot box. As I said at the top of our program, the patriots are very worried about the state of Washington State and how it's going to go. They just don't know at this point. I can't say that Lauren Culp, the Republican, is going to win this November 3rd. And I'm very concerned if Jay Inslee does win again for this state. Very concerned. So we have got to get the vote out for Lauren Culp. I highly recommend all of you living in the state of Washington, vote for Lauren Culp for governor. Vote Inslee out, one of the most corrupt governors in the history of America. A really nasty character that has to go. So that's my recommendation. But again, that's how I'm going to do it. You can follow my advice or not. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. Okay? All right, so that's, I want to wrap up the intel for tonight and go to your questions now for the remainder few minutes we have on tonight's Miracles Intel conference call. And so we're going to open up the call. We're going to bring Maria Love back on to help us out. And Maria is going